Consciousness in Vedic Perspective. And our speaker is Dr. Hare Krishna Mohanta from the Department of Chemical Engineering, BITS Pilani. Dr. Hare Krishna Mohanta is an associate professor in the Department of Chemical Engineering in BITS Pilani, Rajasthan. He obtained his BE Chemical Engineering in 1995 from NIT Rourkela, MTech Chemical Engineering in 1998 from IIT Kanpur, and PhD in Chemical Engineering in 2006 from BITS Pilani. He has been teaching in BITS Pilani since 1998. He worked in Indian Rare Earths Limited, a government of India undertaking from 95 to 96. He is a member of the Indian Council, Indian Institute of Chemical Engineers, and his research interests include advanced process control, process monitoring and control, sensors and microreactors, catalysis and pyrolysis, applied wavelength analysis, reactive distillation, modeling, simulation, and consciousness studies. He has published numerous peer-reviewed journals, papers in international repute, and many conference papers. He is keenly interested in Vedantic studies of consciousness as well.
Okay, good morning to one and all. And I'm very much thankful to Bhakti Vedanta Institute and Bharatiya Vidya Mandir for providing me this opportunity to speak on this topic. I'm not expert, but I'll try to present whatever we have learned from our superiors. Yeah, so what is consciousness? This is the first question. So the general definition is that it means awareness, thinking, feeling, willing, and intentionality. So it is a basic characteristic of the soul. When we give certain thing to a machine, so the machine may see, but it cannot have that feeling. Suppose we are giving a flower to some person, then he may understand your feelings, but the same thing cannot be perceived by a robot. So it is not a product of matter, as the popular science believes that as per Vedantic perspective, it is not a product of matter. As per the existing scientific theory, life gradually arose from chemicals, basically a primordial soap consisting of amino acids, proteins, and other essential ingredients. And there is no such scientific proof or experimental theoretical studies exist in science for life originating from matter. It is all based on faith. But as per our Vedantic or Vedic perspective, life comes from life. So there is a book by His Divine Grace Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, at the dialogue between T.D. Singh and Prabhupada, that life comes from life. You may read that, that is very interesting one. So what is the central point of any Vedantic or Vedic model? So there is matter, there is spirit. So I am not this body, I am the spirit soul. So that is the central point of any Vedantic or Vedic model. So first of all, we have to understand that I am not this body, I am beyond this body, I am the spirit soul. Just like, for example, a car and a human body. So how do you compare? So we have mouth to speak, and the car has the horn to sound. We have eyes to see, the car has headlight to see. Then there are various other things corresponding to various functions. But the car will not move unless there is a conscious person inside, the driver. Similarly, this physical body will not move unless until there is the presence of the spirit soul. So this is the central point of all Vedantic model. So what is that Vedantic model of consciousness? Consciousness is the characteristic of the spirit soul, the first and foremost. It is the characteristic of the spirit soul. It is the living energy and the fundamental quality of life particle. Fundamental quality of life particle. It is non-physical and purely spiritual. life is characterized by the presence of quantum of consciousness, and it remains in a separate domain, not in the material plane. It's the source of all our knowledge and experience. Yesterday also some speakers were talking about this. Now there are two types of consciousness. One is individual consciousness, another is the universal consciousness. So the individual consciousness can be compared to the part where there is water and there are various parts, number of parts, and the universal consciousness can be compared to the sun, so whose image is being reflected in each and every part. So similarly, there is the universal consciousness and the individual consciousness. It's just like we can say the Paramatma and Atma. So there is Vedantic concept of matter also. Matter is inert and has no consciousness. It's the field of activities of the individual and the universal consciousness. The field of activity of both consciousness. And interaction between individual and individual consciousness and matter takes place through universal consciousness, by arrangement of universal consciousness. And natural events that are taking place in the material world are the maps of events occurring in the universal or individual consciousness or in both. So this is how the interaction actually takes place, the complex interaction. So there are certain parallels, and certain modern scientists also, they have said something which are parallels to our Vedic concepts. Like Descartes told, I think, therefore I am. So I am in Sanskrit means aham. And aham, so I think is refers to, because thinking, feeling, willing, all these activities, that refers to consciousness. So that means he's indirectly saying I am consciousness. I am spirit. So that in Vedanta, it is very explicitly spoken. Aham Brahmasmi. I am spirit, the conscious self. So Vedic scientists are more advanced and more explicit in explaining the consciousness. So like Neil Bohr's, he expresses like this: we can admittedly find nothing. Can you lift this, please? I'm not able to get it. No. Can you admittedly find nothing in physics or chemistry that has been a remote bearing on consciousness? Yet all of us know that there is such a thing as consciousness simply because we have it ourselves. Hence, consciousness means consciousness must be part of nature, or more generally in reality, which means that quite apart from the laws of physics and chemistry as laid down in quantum theory, we must also consider laws of a quite different nature. Next, please. Yeah. Similarly, Huxley said, it seems to me that there is a third thing in the universe, to wit, consciousness, which I cannot see to be matter or force or any conceivable modification of either. Next, please. Yeah. So, Gurgui, he said, in my search for secret of life, I ended up with atoms and electrons, which have no life at all. Somewhere along the line, life has run out from my fingers. So in my old age, I am now retracing my steps. Similarly, Polanyi said, consciousness is a principle that fundamentally transcends not only physics and chemistry, but also the mechanistic principle of living beings. So Wigner, he told, physicists have found it impossible to give a satisfactory description of atomic phenomena without reference to the consciousness. That means consciousness should be brought into the scientific understanding of the principles. So there are in Vedanta, there are hierarchy of various bodily functions like senses, mind, etc. So there is a verse in Bhagavad Gita: the senses are superior to the dull matter, and mind is even superior to senses. Senses means this all the knowledge acquiring senses: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin. These five knowledge acquiring senses. Then mind is superior to the senses, and intelligence is even superior, and then the consciousness of the life particle. So this is the hierarchy of various bodily objects and beyond. So in Kathopanishad, there is a very nice model. We refer to it as the chariot model. So it compares how all these things actually are functioning in the human body. The human body is compared to as a chariot, and the passenger is the life particle or consciousness, the person. Driver is the intelligence, reins of the mind, and the horses are senses. Senses: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. So how the consciousness, what are the inputs to consciousness? There are 19 inputs or mouths, we call. It refers to, it is given in the Mandukya Upanishad. So how the consciousness get inputs? There are 5 Gyanendriyas, as I told: eyes, ears, skin, tongue, nose, etc. Then 5 Karmendriyas: hands, legs, mouth, anus, genital. So 5 plus 5, 10. Then 4 mind functions: the manas, chitta, buddhi, ahankar. 4 mind functions. So 14, and 5 pranas: prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana. So these are totaling 19. These are 19 inputs through which the consciousness gets its inputs. And there are 4 planes of consciousness: Jagrata or the awake state, Swapna or dream state, Susupti or deep sleep state, Turiya or undifferentiated state. So how do you understand this? So in Jagrata, all 19 mouths or the inputs are open. That means it is getting input from all 19 gates, mouths. Then in Swapna, the external senses and this Karmendriyas, Gyanendriyas, this 10 will not work. So 19 minus 10, so 9 will be there active in dream. In Susupti, in deep sleep, when mind function, that is 4 functions of mind, that will also stop. So that remains only 5 active. And then in Turiya or undifferentiated samadhi state, that is none of the, even this 5 pranas will not also function or work. So that is 0 input. So these are the 4 planes of consciousness. So the first 3, these are we are experiencing, all of us, mostly. Awake, dream, deep sleep. So deep sleep is sound sleep, where even mind ceases to function. And what is this is a complex model how the activities take place, human activity takes place. There is a complex. Thus, I have tried to simplify it as per the Vedic understanding. So I may be wrong, but this is the. So there is universal consciousness. and there is the individual consciousness. And this is the gross human body consisting of various intelligence, mind, senses, this brain, working senses, all this. And there are also external factors like the Kala, time, and Prakriti, three modes of material nature. So they also have role. So when a particular activity has to take place, first there will be desire coming from this individual consciousness or the spirit soul. When it desires to do something, then signal will go. So intelligence, then intelligence will discriminate whether it should be done or not. So it will actually consider the proposal. Then it will drive the mind. So mind will direct the senses, just like chariot model we have already discussed. And then the senses so interact with the brain. Signal will go to the brain, and then the working senses will get activated. And then at the end, the activity will be functioned. So there are direct interaction of the super consciousness, the universal consciousness with the body also, and the Kala and the three modes of material nature, and also universal consciousness has also influence on the individual consciousness as well. So it is just like this. So these things are all dull matter, no consciousness, the physical body, no consciousness, but they function as if they are conscious, like mind acts, intelligence acts. So as if they are conscious, but they are acting like that because they are under the super consciousness or the universal consciousness. So universal consciousness actually directs them to act. So when, and it is, we can understand like this. Suppose in a particular office, there are all arrangements, various servants are there, and these servants and this office has been arranged by government. And when officer comes, so all of them become active. And when officer is out of the office, they do nothing, they relax. So it is kind of that. So all these things, intelligence, mind, senses, all these are employed by the universal consciousness. So they are under, so there his energy. And as long as the individual consciousness is there in the body, they will be working. As soon as the individual consciousness leaves this body, then will no more function. Even though it's there, but because when the officer is not there, so they need not to work actually. They relax, they are lazy. So this is the complex. It is too much complex, but I try to make it simplified. So there are categories and evolution of consciousness. In Vedantic tradition, evolution is defined as the journey of the innumerable conscious particles of life in time and space as they travel from one form of body to another under the law of karma. The law of karma is law of cause and effect. And each living entity's degree of or level of consciousness and quality, that is guna, and activity karma determines the direction of his or her evolution in the path. So there are there are 84 lakhs of species, and there are various forms of 84 lakhs of forms of life based on guna, karma, and the degree of consciousness. Okay, guna, what are the quality and what are the activity, previous karma, and the level of development of consciousness. There are total 84 lakhs of species. Next, yeah. So under normal circumstances, consciousness evolves linearly as well as stepwise. So it's a linear and stepwise, because in one category of species, there may be various types, forms. So, and then vertically or linearly. The different bodies or forms to accommodate a specific conscious being are already arranged by nature within a cosmic plan. So that is said in Bhagavad Gita, Maya Dakhidam Prakriti. So after transmigrating through 84 lakhs of species, one comes to the human form of life. So this is given in Brahmaveda Purana. So getting this human body is very rare. That means we have already transmigrated through 84 lakhs of species. And the number of life forms are actually counted. This is not there in medical science, but in Vedic literature we find this is there in Padma Purana. There are 9 lakh species in water, aquatics. Then trees and plants, there are 20 lakhs. Insects and reptiles, there are 11 lakhs. Birds, 10 lakhs. Animals, 30 lakhs. And 4 lakhs of human beings based on consciousness. So total it is 84 lakhs of species. Okay, so this is the Vedantic model of evolution of consciousness. So it is not very linear. So linear, then so stepwise. So there are 5 levels of consciousness. The lowest one is the Achadita consciousness, that is covered consciousness. These are experienced by the plants and trees. So Sir Jagdish Chandra Bose, he has already proved that plants have consciousness. So this is that, this Achadita or covered consciousness, the lowest one. The next is shrunken consciousness, that is Sankuchita Chetana. These are they come the worms, insects, and other animals, they fall in that. So that means trees and plants, worms, insects, and other animals. So these two, they cover only Achadita to Sankuchita consciousness. And then Mukudita or budding consciousness. So they are for human beings, any human beings, they are having budding consciousness. And this budding consciousness, if somebody tries to inquire about who am I, why I have come here, what is my duty, and who has created all these questions when one inquires, so his consciousness develops. That is called Vikasita Chetana or blooming consciousness. And when one becomes self-realized, so it is Purna Vikasita or fully bloomed consciousness. So now it is very interesting. Try to understand that to cover from Achadita to Sankuchita, only 2 consciousness level we have to rise. We have transmigrated through 80 lakhs of species. Total 84, so 4 lakh species of human being. That means to go from this Achadita to Sankuchita, we have transmigrated through 80 lakhs of species. Now, 3 levels of consciousness we can transcend in one life, that is human life. So try to understand what is the rarity or what is the opportunity given in this human form of life. So in conclusion, in Vedanta, life is distinct from the material bodies it inhabits. In the human form of life, when one begins to sincerely inquire about the Brahman or absolute truth, one's budding consciousness begins to expand or evolve. That is the blooming state of consciousness. As a result of his inquiry, when he practices regulated spiritual discipline, he evolves further and further. And finally, he or she attains complete transcendental realization, that is called God consciousness, the fully bloomed state of consciousness. So I'd like to end here. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.